Hey there, friends! Today we are going to be building our very own 3D form robots. We're going to learn how to turn regular old flat shapes into 3D forms, and then we're going to pick and choose which ones we want to use to build our robot's body. Let's go back to that fancy art word, form. A form is a 3D shape. So to draw forms, you need to start with the shape. You might start with a triangle, a circle, a square, or a rectangle. Right now, these are just shapes because they're flat and they only have 2 dimensions. They have height, how tall they are, and they have width, how wide they are. To turn them into 3D shapes or forms, we need to do a little bit more drawing on each shape. To turn the triangle into a pyramid, draw a short line growing out from the top at a diagonal, and then connect that short line to the corner of the triangle. And just with those 2 lines, now our triangle has become 3D. It's a form called a pyramid, because it now has height, width, and depth, how deep the shape is. To turn the circle into a sphere or a 3D circle, we're not going to use lines to do it. We are going to add shading. So on your circle, draw a small hot spot with an oval. That we're going to leave white for a highlight. On the opposite side of the highlight in your circle, press hard with your pencil to add a shadow. The shadow should be in the shape of a crescent moon. And again, it should be on the opposite side of the circle as the highlight. So we have a highlight and a shadow. And then we need to make a medium value in between. So we're going to lighten our pressure on our pencil and color it with another crescent shape, but this time with a lighter gray from the pencil. We want to try to make the transition or the movement from the shadow to the medium value like an ombre effect, little by little getting lighter and lighter as we get closer and closer to the hot spot or the highlight. After you have a highlight, a shadow, and medium ground, you might want to take your finger and blend together the different values. So now our circle kind of looks like a 3D circle or a sphere. Let's learn how to make a square into a cube, a form. From the top 2 corners of your square, draw matching diagonal lines. Add 1 more on the corner below. Matching diagonal. And now our last job is to add a horizontal line connecting these 2 diagonals, and then a vertical line connecting these 2 diagonals. And bam, with a couple extra lines, our square has turned into a cube form. Now let's talk about a rectangle. It's a lot like the square. Shooting out from 3 corners of the rectangle, draw matching diagonals and connect the diagonals with a horizontal and a straight line. Great! There's one more form I'd like to teach you so that you can maybe use it for your robot. It's called a cylinder. It's basically a tall circle. It looks like a can. To draw a cylinder, start with 2 parallel side-by-side lines. Make them matching lengths. Then, in between them, draw a smiley face on top and a smiley face on bottom. To finish, draw a rainbow at the top. And now you can see the can form, the cylinder. You can also make taller cylinders or wider cylinders. depending on how tall you make the lines at the beginning. Draw the two smiley faces and a rainbow at the very top, and voila, you have another cylinder of a different size. So now we've practiced drawing all types of forms, all types of 3D shapes. We've made a pyramid, a sphere, a cube, something called a rectangular prism, a complicated way of saying a 3D rectangle, and a cylinder. Now that we have a lot of different forms to choose from, let's choose some and start to build our form robot. Get yourself a blank piece of paper. You might want to keep your practice forms right next to you so that you can choose from them easily. And at the top of our paper, or very close to the top, we're going to choose the first form for our robot's head. You can choose any one of them that you like. And draw a big form for the head in the top middle of your paper. Remember, when we draw forms, we almost always start with the shape and then add some lines. Make sure that the shape at first is nice and big so that you can fit a cute robot face in there later. Then, use a couple of extra lines or shading to turn it into a form. Once you're done with the head, add a neck underneath. I like to use two parallel lines and then fill in the space with curved lines. That way it looks like a bendy hose neck. Now let's choose another form for the body of our robot. I'm going to choose a large cylinder for the body. Remember, for a cylinder, draw two parallel lines as tall and far apart as you want. Add two smiles, one at the top, one at the bottom, and a rainbow at the back. Now my rainbow, I want to make sure it goes behind the neck. I'm going to make the neck a little longer actually, so that it looks like it's coming out of the middle of the cylinder. Bam! I've got a robot body. Now let's use some more parallel side-by-side lines to create the arms. You can draw the arms any way you'd like. You can draw them straight down at the side of your robot. You can draw them long and wiggly like me. No matter what kind of arms you draw, you're going to want to use parallel side-by-side lines that never cross. And my robot's going to have bendy hose-like arms, so I'm going to fill the spaces between the parallel lines with some curved lines. You can add one arm, 3 arms, or regular 2 arms, but at the end of them, draw a hand of some sort. Try to think about what your robot does. My robot is actually a robot that does your hair and makeup for you in the morning. So to do that, my robot is going to need one hand that has a comb on it and another hand that has a blow dryer on it. You could also just do regular hands. It depends on the job that you want your robot to do. Maybe you want your robot to do your homework for you, so you have a pencil hand and an eraser hand. When your arms are finished, let's add some legs at the bottom of your body. Parallel lines. Maybe you want some knees, so you draw circles and calves. And again, I want the legs to be bendable hose legs, so I'm going to add some curved lines to make them look bendable. And at the bottom, add some feet. I'm going to use 2 rectangular prisms, 3D rectangles, to create the feet, but you could use spheres at the bottom to look like wheels, or ovals, whatever you think would look the best. And once you have a head, a neck, a body, arms and legs, it's time to add the face details and the control details on the body. Now, you can draw your robot face any way that you can imagine. You could use light bulbs for eyes or buttons for eyes. You could make the mouth any way you want. The nose could just be a simple triangle. You could have a happy robot, a sad robot. Make sure that you add some antennas and wires coming out. Use your imagination, people. And when you're done with the cute robot face, it's time to move down to the body and add some controls. You might want to add a heart monitor, or a speed dial, or some speakers so that your robot can play music for you, different buttons and dials. Again, think about what's your robot's job. My robot's job is to do my hair for me in the morning, but I also really like to listen to music in the morning, so I added a speaker that spits out some tunes for me while she does my hair. Great job, everyone. Our robot drawing is complete. Make sure you take a moment to trace your drawing with black if you haven't already. When you're done, we are going to use our pencils to add shadows and highlights on each part of the form. We're using a pencil because it's the perfect color for metal. It's kind of shiny and gray, like steel or something. So that's why we're using a pencil. And you can also blend pencils with your finger, and that's why we're using them too. So use your pencil, and on each part of the robot's body, add a shadow around the outside edge of the shape, pressing hard with your pencil. Leave the middle of your shape white for a highlight, and then blend with your finger. When you add a shadow and a highlight, it makes the forms look even more 3D. Each part of your robot's body needs to have some shadows and highlights drawn with a pencil. The shadows go around the outside edge of the shape, and the highlight goes in the middle. Make sure to blend the pencil with your finger to create an ombre effect, a really nice slow transition from dark to light. When you're done adding shadows and highlights with your pencil to all the metal forms in your robot, it's time to pull out the rainbow colors and add a little more pizzazz. Your buttons and dials and hoses and antennas might need a little bit of bright color. After you've added a little bit of color, you're going to want to put some TLC work into the background. You can do the background lots of different ways. You are the artist. Just make sure that you add enough cool stuff in the background that your picture looks finished. I hope you had a blast creating your 3D robots. I can't wait to see them. Bye!